You can hear me? Hello?
Okay, folks, you tune right. You tune to Raman Christian Radio and Raman Christian TV, the fountain of beautiful Christian broadcasting network. Yeah, the fountain of beautiful Christian broadcasting network. And we broadcast to you from Jamestown, North Dakota. And tonight we will be playing host to
Yeah.
Dr. Rockefeller Copeland.
I'm on the so.
And it promises to be a very interesting conversation. So we encourage you, the viewers, the listeners, to go ahead and share the broadcast this evening as we dive into a lot of issues concerned from the Charloe Musu death investigation. Is going to cover as far as Princess Cooper, Abba Peters, Gifty Laman. You just can't afford to miss this discussion. And the reason why you just can't afford to miss it is this: the man who we are playing host to will share some deep revelation with pictorial and video evidences so that you can see. So viewers' description is advised as we go through the discussion and ask him, because he threw some bombshell concerning some issues. He raised some concern as it relate to the different investigations and autopsy report. So Liberians, we want you to draw closer, share with as many persons you can, just to give somebody an opportunity to get a vivid description concerning these different investigations, his own findings, and to give you, the Liberians, give us Liberians an opportunity to drive us through. I tell you, free of charge, just by going through some of the documents and videos. I thought I couldn't do the program because it is a whole lot of information. So tonight, you are off for a good ride, an informative and educative ride. Tie as many persons you can, share with all of your friends and family members. Good evening, Dr. Copeland.
Good evening, Mr. Cummings. How are you?
Dr.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Yeah.
How are you
Yeah, I'm
today?
getting. Well, it's another day, another Sunday. I'm glad to be here at your request, and hopefully we can share some vital and crucial information to answer, if not all of the questions that people may have had over the years up to present, but at least to cover a great, percentage.
Do you have anything in the bag that you're trying to monitor yourself?
Actually, no, I don't.
Okay,
I'm getting a feedback, and I think it's actually from your end.
let me see something. Just give me 1 minute. Let's see. Let's see why you are getting a feedback. Are you still getting a feedback from us?
Well, no. Now it's single. There's no other feedback. Can you hear me?
Dr. Cooper?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Are you still getting a feedback?
No.
Hello?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay. I guess you're not getting a feedback from us here.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so like I said, we're going to discuss a lot of issues tonight and most especially on a short notice to get you here. And we want to say thanks so much for accepting the invitation to be here tonight to dive into these issues, most especially your recent publication that has to do with the Charloe Musu case. As you may be aware, and many Liberians are aware, that this is one of the those cases that continue to raise serious concern. But I want to go somewhere with you a little bit just before we dive into the discussion. I was
Sure.
reading from your website, and that caught my attention, the issue relating to your mother. Can you give us a vivid picture? Because I think it served as a driving force that led to your work.
Yes. So, what now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Good. Yeah. So, I have to start back from my days in high school. So, I completed my secondary education or high school education, as we may call it,
Hmm.
in the Republic of Ghana. And after going through basically being recycled through the complete metamorphosis of the Liberian civil crisis, got very fascinated with the human body, especially after seeing people falling ill, people being executed in front of me. Remember that I was in my early teens then, so it was quite a traumatic experience, and I grew very a high level of interest into sciences and into how the human body works. Okay, so in my high schooling, all I did was physics, chemistry, biology, English, and math because I knew that I wanted to become a doctor. But I also had a passion for law enforcement. But looking at it, I felt that, well, you know what, my parents would not be in favor of me becoming a police officer. Especially my dad being a scientist, and I basically was cut out of that cloth. I had to do something to represent. But as time moved on, my primary interest actually was in surgery because I'm very good with my hands, and so I took that, had that notion in mind. But then in the month of October, 2006, everything took a complete 360 turn. It was an early morning on about the 9th of October when my siblings knocked on the door to let me know that our mother had passed. This was about like 4 a.m. in the morning. There were a lot of conflicting stories. She was diabetic, she was not diabetic, blood pressure was high, blood pressure wasn't high, there were issues with malaria. I mean, so there were so many unanswered questions. And when I went to Liberia, in fact, my goal was for her to have been autopsied, just because she was just 3 months shy of turning 53. So that's considered fairly young for all of those complications to have been listed. Something just wasn't adding up to me. But the process didn't take effect due to different issues, family issues. And so I had to let it go, but it was something that I've carried along with me, over these years. So I've I grew very, I grew a deep passion for death investigation, and that has been an ocean of discovery that I've been diving in, and I don't know when I'll be returning to the surface. So I've been on that pathway over the years, and like I just said, my passion grew deeper and deeper, and I, just took that path. So I've been involved in death investigation, academic and practical wise, for over 12 years now, and this is, something that I do for my bread and butter, as we will say. And so here we are today, looking at cases in Liberia, which I've been critiquing. Those who have followed my work over the years will tell you that it actually has been over 10 years as far as me being involved in cases in Liberia. So, um, these cases come, people forget about them, they get swept under the carpet. they're investigated partially. Sometimes they're not investigated at all over them, and it gets swept under the carpet, basically. But I have made it my goal to address these cases by investigating and looking into them and bringing the facts to light in my own way, as as much as possible. So here we are today with some of the cases that we are going to be looking at. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So in your writing, what drew my attention was this, or caught my attention was this, when you said there's a line. I want to go back to the second audio. Let's go back. Let's go to the first. There was something you raised concern about the witnesses, the eyewitnesses, and in the case of the Charloe Musu incident, you raised some concern about the crime scene, the eyewitnesses account, what led to the death. The folks who said, the man who said, I took Charlotte Musu in my vehicle and she died upon arrival at the hospital. I want you to take us through, because there was a conflicting issue, and reading your writings, the publication in the newspaper, I could see a vivid picture, like Dr. Cooper was walking through the house, looking at the crime scene, talking to the witnesses. I want you to give our viewers and listeners give us a vivid picture of this crime scene. What did you deduce from the eyewitnesses and from the family end to as far as the autopsy report?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing here is when you listen to the press briefing that was conducted at the Simosis funeral parlor, okay, where Dr. Benedict Coley addressed the media, or let me just say the public as a whole, okay, there were a lot of red flags that were raised, and I dissected the commentary, so to speak, or his briefing, because something just wasn't adding up. And when I look at some of the what we consider as evidential materials, I knew that there was going to be problem with the autopsy, because that autopsy required a certain level of knowledge in the performance of forensic autopsies. So, with that in mind, I now decided to sit back and to listen to hear what the preliminary autopsy report, or the autopsy, because at the time we did not know that it was going to be even a preliminary report, but rather just a report. So we, like everybody else, I sat back with evidential material at hand, excuse me, to listen out and hear basically what the autopsy report was going to say. And lo and behold, just as I had predicted, there were issues. The preliminary cause of death is inconsistent with the facts surrounding the matter. So therefore, that result cannot be accepted. And when I say the result, is because it was stated, is there in writing. I'm not saying it. That basically the stab to her, the left side of her chest, sever her intercostal artery, and so she had internal bleeding, which caused her to die. That's the high speed version of it, and that is not the fact, because when you look at the photographs, these photographs, which now if you read the paper, that means you've seen the photographs as well. I don't know if you're able to pull any of them up, but you will see where she had multiple stab wounds, and also there were some vital stab wounds. Okay, and those injuries, those vital stab wounds are now consistent with the forensic facts at the crime scene. Okay, so when you put the pieces together, my dear brother Cummings, you must be forensically trained to handle these type of cases. This is not a fly by night issue where you try to be a superstar overnight and you go to do it. You must be well trained. It's almost like if you're an art student, you enroll into the university to study business arts. Okay, you will do your pre-algebra and algebra course, but that does not make you a mathematician. So this is the type of situation that we have in the country today. And so as a result, a lot of these cases, the results, as in the post-mortem investigations, they are always highly questionable. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't
Okay.
know. It's like I don't know why you keep tweaking on your end, but it's like when you start to speak, then I can't hear you. Okay.
But you are hearing me now.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So like your website, I love the nomenclature. Tear eye. So as a forensic medical death investigator, legal death investigator, what
Yes.
were some of the things that caught your attention? I want to pull some of the pictures, but what are some of those things that caught your attention that in this writing you cannot query the investigation has some concern concerning the press briefing? Because in your writing you make mention of the press briefings and the manner in which the process was conducted.
Yes.
For a
So
layman term, some people may not see what you see because as an
right.
investigator, you have the forensic understanding of the crime scene. But what are some of those things that you were picking up that caused you to kind of query the investigation or the autopsy report?
Sure. So for one fact, after the body was removed from the home and taken to the Redemption Hospital, or let me just say, so to make it kind of to have a blanket, make it a blanket statement. When the body was taken out of the home and prior to the autopsy, at some point in time, the vital stab wounds were sutured, meaning they were stitched. That is a post-mortem artifact, and that can be considered as trying to falsify the facts. Okay, so who did it? That question I cannot answer. But what I can tell you, and again, I mentioned this in my publication, the wounds were sutured. The question here is, of all the wounds that were sutured, why is it that Dr. Benedict Cooley decided to basically focus only on the stab wound that was at the left side of Charlotte Musu's chest? Why did he do that? Because his preliminary report gave the cause of death. You see, so if you once you say that, in fact, that preliminary report is an actual report. I don't. It should not be considered as a preliminary report. They're using
Was
the
he
term.
jumping ahead of himself?
Well, first of all, I have always called to question their ability to conduct forensic autopsies. That is first and foremost. This is an open, it is no secret. I always voice this out. Okay. And this case required an experienced forensic medical examiner or medical legal death investigator to have examined the body. Or if the government, like Rob, insisted that whoever they felt was okay to do it should have done it, then the family should have had someone who is qualified and experienced in death investigation to have been present. Even though they had family members, or should I say family representatives present, that means absolutely nothing because they are there. I mean, they don't understand the merits, okay, and the different ramifications that exist in these type of investigations. So as a result, the representatives that were there, yeah, they were there. They may have seen a thing or two, but they did not have the required knowledge and skill to have put the pieces together for themselves.
In your writing, you made mention of people taking into consideration the situation that occurred in the bathroom. And
Yes.
and you said that according to one of the eyewitnesses, that it is believed that she was strangled to death.
Well, no. So there were a lot of stabbing wounds on her body. Um, I don't know. An eyewitness may not. I don't know how the eyewitness may have known that she was strangled to death or not. But what I can tell you, and this is based again, like you asked, why I came up with different reasons to question the investigation. Looking at the scene, so I just talked about her body. Okay, looking at the scene, as in the residence, you see the blood-stain pattern. Okay, and prior to statements coming out that the body was seen, finally seen by the security, or I will be hearing it, as we've heard in the indictment, where the body was taken, was noticed rather in the bathroom. I already laid that out because my publication was done before the indictment came out. Okay. So, and you can see when you look at one of the pictures there, you can see, for example, there was basically uh, the bathtub had a mixture of blood and water in it, the same on the floor. So, even on the window, around the window sill, the bathroom window sill. So, I knew obviously that the body, from somewhere in the home, the body was taken to the bathroom. The problem here is proving who did it. You see, this case, everybody is looking at this case from just one angle. But I see this case as having multiple angles. Okay. So there are several legal elements that will need to be met in order to secure a conviction. Right now, you have four people who are, being held in custody for the death of Charlotte Musu. But going through the indictment, you see, the indictment, that is the cream, the cream of the crop. I don't see the strength within the indictment. So that means that the case right now, even though it involved the loss of life, but from a forensic standpoint, there were so many pieces of fragile material. Okay, so the texture is not as solid as I thought it would have been. And there's a reason for that. The investigation it should consist of the ingredients to substantiate any claim that is being proffered by the authority, so that you will be able to secure a conviction or to share light on this case. But I'm afraid if what I'm saying is not addressed, this case is not going to hold based on the merit of law. Because, and I'm saying based on the merit of law because the government can decide to flex the muscle and say, okay, regardless of what, we'll just find whoever want to find guilty. And that shouldn't be, because we need to take into account. You see, so my dear brother Cummings, when we look at investigations, right? One thing that we take into consideration, or let me just speak from my own experience, we take into consideration is what we refer to as type 1 and type 2 errors. What you don't want is to convict the innocent and let the guilty go free. So because of that, you have to know exactly what you're doing when you're investigating these type of cases. Okay, and if you don't have trained investigators, you're going to have issues. So that's where we are, and this has been the same thing as I have seen with other cases in the past. You know,
So Dr. Cooper, if I may borrow from you, it's like there are some missing ingredients here that is missing to kind of connect the doubts that people have in mind, or you as a forensic medical legal death investigator. There's something that is missing to you because I mean the way you chronicle the entire thing, looking at the document, I wish I can just share some of these pictorial with the viewers. Looking at the entire document and looking at the things you wrote is it's like you giving a vivid picture as compared to what we heard from Councilor Verdia. You are going in depth with pictorial evidences as far as video, audio you send me concerning the press conference of the family and that of Dr. Cooley. So, from your reading and your tear-eye investigative standpoint, what are some of those key ingredients that you think is missing in this process that if I can borrow from your saying, you said in your second writing, you said this has the propensity for mistrial or misjudgment. Something you said earlier,
yes,
I mean,
yes.
in the second writing.
Yes, 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 that is correct. So I was alluding to the findings of the preliminary autopsy report. Okay, because again, it is even there in his video testimony as well as I was broadcasted through different outlets. According to him, the stab wound to the left side of Charloe Musu's chest led to the severing, okay, or the puncturing of the intercostal artery, and that led to bleeding into her chest area, which of course she developed hemothorax. Okay, so he said that she bled internally. Well, that finding of his is non-contributory to her cause of death,
Why you
though
think
it
so?
is secondary. Yes. So okay. Okay. Let me just bring it. Imagine if you went to groom, as I see, right now you keep just a mustache. When you shave and you nick your skin, okay, and you start to bleed from shaving, does that warrant a visit to the emergency room?
No.
That's a question for you. Because even though you nick yourself while shaving, but it is so insignificant, right? Okay, that's one. Number two, the forensic findings on the crime scene cannot support, because when you come and say that her cause, or remember now, he claimed that it's a preliminary report, but I think he just used the term preliminary to create a smoke screen that will somewhat lessen the pressure on people wanting a report, so that they will put all the pieces together for the investigation. A preliminary report, let me just chime in. This is what I would have said if I'm giving a preliminary report, even though it was clear cut to have been a final report to have been given. But if go with the narrative preliminary report, I would have said that she sustained multiple stab wounds that led to both internal and external hemorrhaging. You see? But when you come up and you give the exact cause of death and the exact injury, it means that you must be able to, to support, that claim. And there's nothing that can be given to support that claim. To the contrary, when you look at the documentation that I provided or supporting evidence in my write-ups, you will see that I talk about the injuries that she sustained. Okay, she got stabbed in the neck. That that is very well close or within the proximity to a very vital blood vessel that, when severed, will lead to cause a person to bleed to death. The crime scene, the way it was bloody, there's no way that she would have had that internal, internal bleeding, and then you would have had all that blood. Okay, so there are a lot of questions, and the reason I wrote the paper in which I did is because, one, I wrote it in a way, well, the paper was written strategically, and it was just to give people, or to, should I say, give people the urge to start thinking, to put on their thinking caps, so to speak. There are still other facts of this case that I'm aware of, which I would never say just out in public. I will only say it before a competent court of law. So that's why I told you that the indictment, when I run when I run the calibration, the indictment is not solid. Okay, you see, and for someone who has served as an expert witness, I can tell you, a prosecutor must not struggle to get a conviction. The prosecutor must make sure that the defense counsel receives all of the evidential material. Up to now, they have not. The court had given them up to this past Friday. They did not give the defense counsel copies of the evidential material, and the court even extended it up to this come Tuesday. So imagine if the government does not provide evidential material, and in law, there's something called rule of evidence. You see, the evidential material has to be provided. Then the materials have to be tested. You see, in law, there's something referred to as the threshold test. Okay. And the reason why you do the threshold test is to see whether there's reliability as well as admissibility of the evidence. Now, if those burdens are not met, the jury is not gonna pay. I mean, would not be allowed to take the those evidential materials into consideration. So
So in
these are
his
the,
case, in this case, the level of believability, there's still a dark cloud concerning this final report. Like you said, Dr. Kula said, this is a preliminary thing, but to you, I mean, it's not a preliminary report, but a final report. Because I see you doing a rebuttal to him here. Let's go somewhere a little bit. You have investigated other cases, and in your writing, you alluded to something that this is, you see a similarity of other cases, and you made mention of the Princess Cooper case. Why are you
right.
connecting the past to the current?
Well, so for one fact, Princess Cooper did not. She did not get justice. And by the way, just as a disclaimer, it is just ironic. We are not blood relatives, or neither are we in laws. Okay, she's a different Cooper. But again, given I have taken, I've made it a personal vendetta to investigate death, death, especially of women. I take it very serious. And this is just because when my mother passed, and the number of questions that I had. So I look into these cases, not that I'm being biased between men and women, but I just have a knack for digging a little deeper when it comes to women. Now, Princess Cooper, the investigation was done poorly. There were no forensic facts. And to claim that she had tuberculosis was highly false and misleading. And, you know, we can look into some of the existing evidential materials so that we can discuss, a little further. I
This
can hear
is
you.
where I say, viewers, your description is advised. This is one of the part that I came to as it relate to your investigation. I thought I was sitting in a room with you and you having a lecture series But then when it came to some of the pictorial that we want to share concerning other cases that you have investigated, I was like, man, I got to walk out of here. I think I need a water break because this is too heavy to look at. But Dr. Cooper, just before we go there, just before we roll this video with Princess Cooper, let me ask you this question. When you
Sure.
sit to write, to put the pieces, the puzzles together, are you writing for the eyes, for the ears, for the public to see and understand and have a vivid picture that they can understand that, look, I can look at it and deduce from a common standpoint or from a common law standpoint, as a common person, even a wheelbarrow boy, a shoe shine boy, a marketer will sit down and listen to you and say, I think Dr. Cooper is giving us something here that we can go home with, seeking for justice for that.
Well, yeah. So first and foremost, whenever I do these writings or these publications, I, I, my first capacity is serving as a voice of the victim. I'm speaking on behalf of the victim, letting people out there know exactly who the victim was, what happened to the victim, and and some of the other factors or elements to take into consideration. So, and of course, when you read the paper, I try to make it as layman as possible, but at the same time, I have to keep a certain standard because what I've come to realize over the years is that my writings I've been contacted by professionals from all over, I mean, different parts of the world, who are reading up on Liberia, and they come across my different write ups every now. In fact, the two-part publications of the Charloe Musu story, I mean, was viewed a lot in Asia and other parts of Europe. So I've had forensic experts reaching out to me, trying to find out because people are also looking at the country. People want to come into the country to for economical reasons, as in business, and then they keep it so. The name Rockefeller Cooper has been attached to a lot of these stories, detailed stories, as they put it, or as I was made to know. And so, so I try to do it so that the audience, okay, at a flat level, everybody will be able to at least grab a piece of the pie, so to speak.
But let me bring this video and tell us, just before we go there, let's listen to something from Charloe, the late Charloe Musu's family, and tell us what, from your findings as an investigator, a forensic medical death investigator, what do you see in this? A medical legal death investigator, what do you see in this?
Distinguished members of the press, fellow citizens, it is important to inform you that today the family of Charloe Musu communicated with the Ministry of Justice, the Republic of Liberia, requesting for the body of Charloe Musu. As you are aware, on the 27th of February, when Charloe Musu died, there was a corridor examination on her. The government of Liberia conducted a corridor inquest. After that corridor examination, the body was turned over to the Musu family. The family then later took the body to the mortuary. While the body was at the mortuary, the chairman for the Congress for Democratic Change, Mobile Monu, got on radio, got on social media, accusing Senator Justice Gloria Scott of being responsible for the death of Charloe Musu. And insisted that they will conduct an autopsy. The family visited the mortuary and they were told that the government of Liberia had instructed that nobody tamper with the body, no one should be made to see the body, but nobody should be made to see the body, nobody should be tampered, nobody should touch the body. According to the mortuary head, Simose, that was the instruction from the Ministry of Justice. The government of Nigeria, the family have been requesting for the coroner report of February 27. The family have been requesting for the publication. Because the publication set the basis for scientific investigation. The coroner report set the basis. Up to today's date, the family have not gotten said report. The government of Nigeria set the day for the autopsy. The autopsy was conducted, even though the family did not get the report of the coroner inquest. But the very day after being told that in 2 weeks' time, the family will receive the report. The very day, preliminary of the report of the autopsy report surfaced. The question that continues to linger on the minds of a lot of family members is why up to now we have not been able to see the publication of the coroner report or the coroner inquest. Today we are breaking the Ministry of Justice, asking them, because the Ministry of Justice said in 2 weeks' time, they will publish the final report. Today is 16 days. The family are written an official communication requesting the turning over of the body such that our daughter will receive a dignified burial. We're pleased to inform you that our brothers and sisters you see here are some of those who were present when the autopsies were being conducted. So I'm now pleased to now turn over to them for comment.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, my name is J. Wademle Elliott Sr., the uncle of the deceased. Lucy Elliott Musu, who is the mother of Charloe Musu, is my sister. I've been hearing about...
Okay, we have to pause that video and go back to Dr. Cooper. Now, Dr. Cooper, what do you make of this? I know the folks are not medically inclined like you. They don't have that forensic, medical, legal eye to see and deduce that, okay, looking at the body, this is what happened. So you as a forensic, medical, legal, death investigator, what do you make of this?
Okay, so when you listen to the, to the family, the first phase there of the family's statement, the gentleman who spoke, who I believe more than likely would be the elder, and therefore speaking on behalf of the family, he made some key references. Or let me not references, but he did reference some facts. Now, one, the coroner conducted an examination. Okay. Number two, the body was turned over to the family. Number three, the family took the body and had the body deposited to the Simoses funeral home. Number four, Simoses was given a call, received a call, and was instructed to not turn the body over to the family. Let's stop right there and look at those series of events. The coroner, number one, was wrong or he was in error for turning the body over to the family, what was the justification for that action being taken? That was a violent death that took place. The body should not have been turned over to the family. But maybe he didn't see it as being a violent death. Okay. Now, number two, Moses did not receive the body from the government. Therefore, legal action should have been taken right away when he told the family that he could no longer give the body over to them, okay, because of instructions that he had received. You see? So those are the first set of legal steps that needs to be addressed or that should have been addressed. But be as it may, things took the turn that they did. So I mean, this kid, everything was a mess from the get go, Mr. Cummings. Things should not have taken the turn that it did because now, a lot, as we say, basically, it has opened up. Actions taken basically have opened up several can of worms, and there will be a lot of different questions to answer. If this case goes to trial, if it goes to trial. So again, we have to see how things are going to play out in the justice system.
But why do you think the government was telling Sir Moses not to give the body to the family? Is it based upon the allegation that was leveled against the city mayor and that of one of his lieutenants?
Well, I don't want to speculate. So here's the problem. First and foremost, we don't have a standardized death investigation system in place in country. That is the first problem. Now, maybe they have their reasons as to why, they had changed their mind. But the fact of the matter here is that even St. Moses should not have agreed with the government to not give the body to uh, the family. Those instructions must come from a judge. You see, where the court will issue, some sort of what do they call it? A warrant or so that yes, for the government to reclaim the body. It's not just that the Minister of Justice will call St. Moses and say, don't. So here's the thing. Like I said, there are some things that I cannot say here, but everything that has happened in this case has the propensity to, I mean, it can impact the outcome. Everything that has happened, and we haven't even gone into the real substance of the case. So this is just from the surface. Okay, so there are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of errors were made, and hopefully, this will also serve as a learning experience.
You think this case may likely serve as a wake up call to the justice system for in terms of improving a forensic department that will conduct a good investigation to kind of alleviate the negative perception that people usually have concerning these different cases. I know there are a whole lot. I know we got part 1, part 2, and part 3 to do as it relate to your work with all of the things that you have given to us, made available to this institution to educate the Liberian public. But do you think that this case will actually serve as a catalyst, not only this government, but governments to come tomorrow, to improve a forensic department that will be prepared to investigate thoroughly concerning these issues?
You know, that's a very good question. I would like for us to table that question until we go through the other cases.
Okay, let me
In
bring
that,
your controversial friend on. Let's see what you make of this. This with Dr. Kule.
Welcome you to today's special press briefing here at the Charles William Press Hall. Today's press briefing is presented by the official spokesperson of this document, Honorable Ledger Windsor Rennie. But before I invite the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs who officially introduce to our guests, I'd like to inform the Liberian people about those social media and other outlets that are relaying or someone casting. There's been much public craving.
The incident that occurred at the home of former Chief Justice Councilor Gloria Musu Scott in North Virginia, Montserrat County, on February 22nd, 2023. During our investigation, all along we have called parties to this investigation as, first of all, the Musu family as victim or family of the victim. They have been treated as such from the beginning. Others were considered persons of interest. And so the investigation has taken very long because this is a very critical issue that one of our own, a young lady called Charloe Musu, was gruesomely murdered. And so it takes the police all it can to establish or to identify perpetrators of such heinous crime. And that is why we've been so meticulous to come up with facts and not to speculate or to hold the wrong person for the wrong reason. We believe that it's good to free 10 criminals on the basis of the law or for forgiveness than to hold one innocent person. This is something that we are always careful not to do. And so today, we come to let the Liberian people know that this investigation that the Liberian National Police embarked on is coming to a close. We, at this point, have identified suspects, prime suspects, into the murder of Charloe Musu in connection with that incident which occurred on February 22nd at the home of former Chief Justice Councilor Gloria Musu Scott. And to let you know, the prime suspect in this case Councilors Gloria Musu Scott, Gertrude Newton, Alice C. Johnson, and Rebecca Winston. Those are all occupants of the house during the time of the incident. The one who asked why this family being held as prime suspect. The theory is it has been established and proven beyond all reasonable doubt, first of all, that there was no intruder, as is being speculated or being alleged. No intruder at all. And because we are saying no intruder at all, we want to go to the extent that you, or Liberian people, a member of the folk estate, will know the home that we are talking about, the protection that this home has, how fortified the home is, to even have the slightest thought that this home will be infiltrated by an unknown person and commit crime and escape again. this is what we want you to know, that the police have got no reason to accuse anybody falsely. We've got nothing to hide. We have done this work in partners with other stakeholders, credible stakeholders, and citizens alike. We've got witnesses, credible witnesses, who at the appropriate time will appear in court to testify. And so I've come with me the deputy, my immediate deputy. He's Commissioner Emmanuel Go-Jidikan. He's the deputy for crime investigation, criminal intelligence, and Interpol affairs of the Liberia National Police. He's been supervising this investigation while we provide guidance. We have with us Assistant Commissioner Blake, or Deputy Commissioner Blake, sorry. Deputy Commissioner Blake is the Deputy Commissioner for Crime Services. He's the lead investigator, and closely assisted by Assistant Commissioner Moru A. Dennis, the Chief Criminal Investigator Republic of Liberia. And then, in contemporary policing, we are effective. Only effective if we have people who run the intelligence for us. And so we came with our Deputy Chief of Intelligence, who have been working in the background to unveil some of the stuff that we're looking for, gave us some of the credible information that will lead us to successfully concluding this case and prosecuting perpetrators. And so we got a full house, and I want to pause to give the Deputy Commissioner and his team a chance to display on the board where the incident took place, the incident scene, and some of the, we're not going to go into detail because there is tomorrow for court. So we're going to give you an overview of how the home of Mr. Musu can look like, and he will give you the details. Not to take much of our time, of course, for now. I'm listening to the Commissioner Blake.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Inspector General. Basically, member of the Pope Estates, during the ongoing investigation, I would like to display to you a 3D dimension of Councillor Scarf resident. This is a 3D dimension of Councillor Scarf resident, as we developed our engineers. This is the kitchen of Councillor Scarf. This is the garage trim. This is the living room quarter. The side of the building is the sleeping quarter. As you can see, this house is being protected by an iron door here, iron door, iron door, iron door, and another iron door. This house is heavily protected. And as you can see, this is a one-story building. This place is cast. This is a pictorial view of the house. It's a hostel building. So this entire place is cast. So, as you can see, in this room is the children's room. This is where we have two of the suspects along with the victim, which is the deceased. In this other room, we have one of our suspects, Rebecca Wisner. In this room, this room has been occupied by suspect Councillor Scarf. This is Councillor Scarf's bathroom, and this is another empty room and this is the empty room bathroom. So this house, like I said, is heavily guarded by virtue by part of these doors, these iron doors. And the window bar is being installed in a way, manner, and form that no intruder can make a way in, neither can any intruder make a way out, except by way of another intervention. So our investigators, our crime scene investigator, visited the crime scene. We did a walk around of the entire building. From our analysis, it was proven that indeed it was not possible at any point in time for an intruder to have made their way into this house. One may ask about the lighting condition of this house. At night, there's a generator placed on. So I say we alleged that an armed robber was in the house. It's not true. There were lights in this house in the commission of the crime. The only way residents of the house were able to come out on the day of the incident is by an intervention of the security guard who were posted here and applied force on one of the window bars by the use of lights before the residents were able to exit the house, which is 3 of our suspects. So at the time of that action, the entire place was still sealed. Up to the time, community members responded to aid based on the alarm. This place was completely sealed. Upon the entry of the community member, they searched room by room with the light and the visibility stay clear. So none of these persons were able to testify that there was an intruder. So member of the listening public, member of the folk estates, this is our diagram.
Before we can go further, you may want to know what intervention those that came to assist. What intervention did they make? The window that was cracked open for 3 of the suspects to come out was the very window through which we had community members entering to go and apprehend the alleged or the so-called armed robber. But when they entered and searched, they saw no one else besides Constance Scott and deceased Charloe Musu. At the time, she was not a deceased. All right? You also note that besides their presence, 3 security guards, one of whom was a relative, who was outside posted. When they heard the yelling sound of someone cry within the building. I just want you to know that.
So in addition to the structure, we have this house, like I said, the iron doors, all the doors you've seen, they have been guarded by iron doors and a wooden door. This door leading to the living quarter is also have an iron door and a wooden door for that. So like I said, this facility is almost like a maximum security, on a maximum security level. So for analysis, it was shown that it was proven there was no intruder. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Commissioner Blake, thank you for the presentation. And so we have arrested, as we speak, suspect Musu, along with 3 others, have been arrested since yesterday, as of yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And because of the gravity of this issue, same being murder case, you will understand that they will no longer be at their private home while investigation is going on. They are being investigated on 3 charges. You want to know that. These people are being investigated on 3 charges, ranging from murder, criminal conspiracy, and false report to law enforcement officials. Those are the 3 charges they are being investigated on. And as we speak, for your knowing, we have habeas corpus on us. It will interest you to know that these people were arrested yesterday in the afternoon. The Marine rights were read to them. All along, no one had been declared suspect until yesterday. And so, as a matter of professionalism, as a matter of law, their rights were read to them, making them to know that they are the prime suspect of the crime. And to our surprise, we got habeas corpus on us. And so we'll be responding to that habeas corpus through our counsel this afternoon. To tell the court, maybe the court wants to know why we're holding them. So we explain to them why we're holding them. But as a law, we use the revised penal law of Liberia as our guide. So we're not doing anything outside the law. The reason why the case has dragged is we started from the beginning, very onset. You also want to know why you, as a victim, somebody according to you have intruded your home and inflicted a wound on one of you or killed one person, and you want to report this case to the police. Why would you want a lawyer to be present before you report your case? That has been the case. Some of the delay that we endure. We have solved this case ever since. But regrettably, we were not giving due cooperation by our suspect now. So that have been some of the reasons why the case is delayed. And so, like I said, because of the gravity of this case, our suspect, Councilor Musu, Scott, and 3 others are with the police. And within a statutory period of 48 hours, you'll be proceeding with court. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, 103. So at this point in time, we will take our most fact.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'm hearing you, Kule. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, folks, we sincerely apologize for that break, and that was a short clip. Now, let me come back to you, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper. Folks, just to have you inform, our guest, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, is not just talking as an ordinary person. He is a man who is vast with a vast wealth of knowledge as it relates to forensic medical legal death investigation. So he is a forensic medical legal death investigator. So that's what he's taking us through. And the reason why we have decided to bring him on tonight, if you follow his writings and some of the different pictorial, which of course we will share with you, the public, but viewer description is advised. Okay? We will show some pictorial here. They are very graphic. But if you explain a story, you got to tell the story in its totality. So not to just write something and leave something out and leave us in oblivion. So this is the reason why we thought on inviting Dr. Cooper, who's giving us a vivid picture as we go through this investigation. This is a big case as compared to what Councilor Verdier said. That part of it, we can't discuss it. We want to talk to somebody who is well schooled with a vast knowledge as it relates to forensic, medical, legal, death investigation. But Dr. Cooper, let's come back to you. What do you make of this press conference? What's your take on the press conference?
Yeah, so a lot of serious claims were made. And, so the gentleman who spoke, as Honorable Prince John, I'm sorry, Prince Johnson, Prince Mulba, he's the Deputy Inspector General at the LMP for Crime Services. So basically, what they were saying was that they conducted the investigation and there was no sign of a break in. There was no sign of a break in. And I repeated that because at some point in time, you will appreciate the reason or rationale behind that. However, they also tried to do a model, show a flow model of the residents to show how impossible it was to penetrate based on forced entry and forced entry alone. Okay. Now, with what's being said, it's only fair that we counter using pictorial display, as you mentioned. Okay, and that was the same thing that I put out in the paper, so it's going to be nothing new, so that people will now have a full understanding as to exactly what happened here. And again, like I said, the indictment, because that's what's going to be used, right? You heard what the Inspector General, the Deputy Inspector General said, but the problem I'm having now is, why is it that the evidential material has not yet been shared with the defense counsel? So I guess we'll know by Tuesday, because they were given a deadline of Friday, and then that deadline was extended this past Friday, and now it has been extended. So,
You think
but
they don't
basically,
have it in their possession?
well, I cannot say that they don't have it. I'm just surprised as to why it has not been shared. Because here's the thing: when you're prosecuting, okay, it is your responsibility to ensure, and this is legal proceedings, okay. You have to share evidential material with the other party. So, and the defense basically, they have said, in fact, the government filed a writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court, which of course was with the Justice in Chamber, to not allow them to give evidential material to the defense counsel, because they felt that it was too early, something they tuned it was too early for that. But of course, the request got terminated, and rightfully so, because by law, you are to share. If you already have an individual or individuals in custody, then it is only fair that you bring forth the materials that you have to, that you believe is enough to support their guilt and conviction. So, we have to see how things play out within the this coming week. But basically, that's the presentation that they are presenting.
So let me bring, like I said earlier on, I was going to find something with the man who why it seems like you and Dr. Kulik don't get along. What's going on?
Well, so for me, Liberia comes first.
I see word for word here.
Yes,
And
yes,
you
yes.
guys are two professional colleagues, and you people are working in the interest of the people of Liberia. So what is unfolding? Is he hiding something, or is it like what you were saying, your right thing is, it seems to be providing more myth and he's providing the truth. I see the back and forth here.
Well, who's providing the truth? I think the proof is in the pudding. You listen to his. I mean, there's a video out there with regards to his preliminary report. I don't know if you are able to find that video.
I'll obtain the video. I was able to get this
Okay,
video, but let's go into
then
this and then I'll come back to that question. Let's go
yes, I
straight
think
through.
I think you should do so.
Thank you.
How was the process, sir?
The process was very laborious. It was rewarding. We gathered the needed evidence that will eventually lead to the establishment of the actual scientific cause of death of 24-year-old Miss Charloe.
So, what's the surety can you give the public that in terms of looking at the time frame, how soon and how reliable this result will be?
For reliability, our record will speak to it. And I said it before we started this autopsy. We are on record because I mean people give cause of death even before autopsies are done. People sit in the United States, someone dies here, and they are able to see exactly what killed them. That must be magic, you know. It doesn't happen anywhere else. But what we did is scientific, and our record speaks for itself. We will, the turnaround time is usually 2 weeks plus or minus. We'll do our best to work within that time.
Given the
Okay,
process,
let's go back to Dr. Copeland. He said,
Okay. So you heard the words from the horse's mouth.
yeah, he said it was
What
scientific.
he
And then
said it was.
two,
Go
and then
ahead.
two, he made reference to social media speculation that they have
Right.
already gave cause of death. So their autopsy report is scientific. So you being a forensic medical legal death investigator, what are some of the scientific ingredients, investigative ingredients missing in this autopsy report?
Well, first and foremost, the autopsy was not forensically done. That's the first issue that that will be raised. You see, this case is a slam dunk case. But like I said, there are some things I'm not going to say here because I don't. I will only say before a competent court of law. Okay, I have a lot to say that will enlighten any court anywhere. You heard Dr. Coley when he said that people can sit in the United States and even give results before the autopsy is done. Yes, I received that message, and that's why. And I wanted to prove to him that indeed people can sit even on the moon and give autopsy result because we have been going back and forth on cases in Liberia. He said that the work have been speaking for themselves, and I can prove that the work, meaning the autopsies, have been false and misleading and not speaking for themselves. Look, on a very serious note, this is about Liberia and its people. I don't have time, as we say, being member of the boys club and to patch things up. No, when you decide to play with the well-being of individuals, and when I say well-being of individuals, because your results can impact family members as well. Okay, if it's not being done up to standard, then I personally have a problem with it. Okay, he said in the preliminary report, if you listen over, because I recall the video now, he said basically, he talked about this single stab wound. There's no people get stabbed into their rib cage and they survive it on. I mean, there are thousands of cases. Okay, but the implication of that for someone who did not dive deep into this case as I did, the first thing would be if this girl was stabbed, that means that she was in pain and agony. What did the occupants of the home do to ensure that she got medical care? You see, you see the problem that finding could cause, and yet when I presented the facts. Oh, and by the way, the publication was done. I think what June, sometime in June. I don't remember the exact date. No one has come to disprove that the body is that was revealed was not that of Charloe Musu. So it means that the facts that I presented are undisputed. You see, I show critical wounds on the body prior to the autopsy being done. wounds were sutured. Who sutured those wounds
When you say
and for
suture
what?
now for
What
the
I
ordinary
mean,
people, some of us to
yes,
know.
the wounds that show severe injury. Somebody went and closed it up. They went to sew the wounds. Like that one means suture, stitch. Okay? That I mean, that action is highly questionable, as in the rationale behind that. It could have been done to conceal. It could have been done to, to misrepresent or to basically just derail the investigation as a whole. But the question is who and why. That's why I'm saying that there's a problem here with custody. The coroner did his investigation and turned it over to the family, turned the body to the family, which that was error number one. It should not have happened. But be as it may, the family took the body. Whatever happened with the body between the time they received the body and they took it to the funeral home, who knows what happened? Once Moses received the body, did he document the body as he had received? Also, he was told not to turn the body over. Did he receive body from the government? So can the government of Liberia just call and put a hold on the return of any deceased to their family member, especially when they did not give the body to St. Moses or to any funeral home for that matter? You see, so there are a lot of this case has created a wild goose chase within its confines as well. Okay, and with some of the things that I've hit on, like I said, some things I will not say here. I will only be willing to say before a competent court of law. But you can see already some of the problems. Okay, so so that's where we are, and
I want to share something with you.
sure.
I want you to take us through this. Can you see the
Aha.
pictorial?
Yes. So those are stabbing wounds. Okay. If you look now, you're looking at it. That means that her left side is actually her right side. Okay. You see a stab wound by her neck. So that would be the left side of her neck. You see that? Okay. You got a stab wound there. Then go to the shoulder on her to her right shoulder, which should be like your left side.
Right here.
I don't see if you're moving your cursor on it.
No, my cursor will not move on it because I'm not sharing
Okay.
screen with you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
but as you
So you
speak,
have
the viewers can see for
yes,
themselves.
yes. So also now, what would be considered looking at it? What would be considered as your left, as you viewing it by, is actually her right. So look at her right shoulder. You have another wound over there that was also stitched. Okay. Then if you follow along down her right arm, there's also a stab wound. Then in her chest, you have superficial stab wounds. Okay. You have about 3 superficial stab wounds. Then, of course, the wound to her left, her left shoulder, which look also appears shallow, and then you have the one on her, by her left breast. Now, take note of her abdomen. There's no stab wound to her abdomen. Okay, there's no stab wound to her abdomen. So also there's a forensic interpretation of that. So, and some things I did not mention in the publication because it was there just to whet the appetite. So that's it as far as for this image.
Let me see if I can bring us back here. Okay, there you go. My God. Because
Do you
when
have
you
another?
look here, you see
Where,
another wound, like you say. Were they working on her at the mortuary
no, well, I don't
or the
know.
hospital?
Do you have? Yes, but before I answer, do you have another photograph
Yeah.
showing at least the injury that was being discussed by Dr. Cooley? showing the stab wound to the left side of her chest.
Here you go. There is it right here. Again, viewer description is advice as it relate to the pictorial we're showing here. Okay, can you see that
Okay, no,
picture?
that's the one. That's the one to her right shoulder. As a matter of fact, look at this picture. When you look at this wound, you see the whitish material that is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was from the suturing. So a body is brought in. At some point in time, somebody decides to suture. Why? Who was it that instructed that to be done? When did it happen? So, but I don't know if you have a photograph of the one with the stab wound so that people will see the stab wound to the left side of her chest by her left breast.
I think it was the one that I put earlier on. Was it?
No, the one you did show the whole, that was the whole thing, because I know the pictures that I had laid out in the document.
Let me see if I can locate that quickly. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find that photo. Let's see. Nope, it's the same picture. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, it's a reminder that you're listening or watching an exclusive interview with Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, and we are looking at the case of Charloe Musu, the late Charloe Musu, and there'll be other cases, and we, like we said, viewer description, advice concerning some of the pictorial we're sharing with you, just so that I think I have to go back to get it up here, but I want to share something else with you. In your writing, you made mention of this pictorial.
Yeah, so that's a section of the bathroom. Okay. As you can see, there's water with it that's mixed with blood. So somebody was trying to wash off something at some point in time.
But let me ask you this question, Dr. Cooper.
Yes.
From you as an investigator, do you believe that someone else was in this house, or there was a serious altercation ongoing at the time between the occupants of this identical home?
That's a very good question. I was about to answer, but that would be a question that I would prefer to answer in a court of law. And the reason is I'm trying to be as, how do I put it? I don't want to say as neutral.
Before you go there, just hold the rest of your thought. Here is another thing that you made mention of in your writing.
Yes. Now, so what you're looking at, that is, you're standing outside and you're looking into the mirror. Now, in the mirror, you can see the bathtub, and in the bathtub, you have a mixture of blood and water. It's like how you can stand, like you got a mirror on the wall. You for example, you look in the mirror and you see, right? You got a reflection. That one at second grade science. The image bounces off based on the reflection of light. So that is there just to show you. So the first picture that you showed, it just showed the blood on the floor. Now on the other side, that's why where the bathtub is. That way you got the where you have this manifestation.
And there was one part that I saw. I don't know, was it a bucket or something? In your writing?
Yeah, in my write-up, yes, there was some on the floor that I think that was showing the blood stain. The reason why I showed those was to tell that the findings from the preliminary autopsy or the preliminary report, which again should have actually been a report, because that is not what you call a preliminary report, is inconsistent with the facts. You see, and like I said, because somebody would be that okay, this young lady was stabbed and injured, who has not seen all of the facts or been exposed to all of the facts, would say that you have four people in the house. This young lady got injured, and they did not try to get her medical attention. That means did they watch her just die off slowly? That could very well be an argumentative point. You see, that's why you have to review the facts when you are doing an investigation.
Wow. I want to take you somewhere else. That it's something you make reference to. You said this is a complete replica of other cases. What were you alluding to when you said that this is a complete replica of other cases? Were you making reference to the Princess Copper case, the Abba
Definitely.
Peter and Abba Peter and Gifty Laman case? Because I
Yes, the
want to
great.
pull a video that I found in one of your investigation. And when I came across this video and pictorial, I was shocked concerning what I was looking at. You,
Okay.
also as a medical practitioner, do you believe that somebody who suffers from TB will bleed such a way and such a way? Let me pull this video again, listeners, viewers. Description is advice here. Let's look at this. That's the body there.
1 second.
From top to bottom, I see blood all over the place.
Aaron, when you put them in the door, pero you put them in the can, I want to put them in player. See it? Everything. That's what you sell it for. You can see. Yeah, can you see? Yeah. Can you see? Can you see, princess? Can you see, princess? Father, be close up there, brother, please. You my brother, please. Can you see, princess? I'm coming off from princess. No, you can't carry that. Can you see, princess? You see here. You see, princess? The phone is just in your mouth.
Okay. Now, what I would like you to do before I say anything else is, do you have other photographs of the young lady?
Yeah, here is something I'm looking at here.
Okay.
Um,
Please bring those up.
this is one of the pictorial.
Okay. Now, I want you to look at the blood pattern on her clothes. Okay? You see how it is on her pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, and then also that you see on her shirt or her blouse, that would be the light color blouse.
Mm-hmm.
You have blood stain on it as well. Do you have another one?
Yeah, and this one I think is in the hospital. So here we go.
Okay. So that's just looking at the body from the other way. You see how the blood is almost kind of like a V pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going down her legs, and the one before her shoes was off. You can see the blood on to the base of her shoes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you see how the blood is concentrated in that area around her mid thigh area, but then you don't have it to like the end of her to the end of her pants. Okay. Now let's go back to those are the only ones you have, I
Yep.
believe.
Yeah, those are the
Okay.
only ones. Oh,
Now
okay.
let's go back.
Let's
Go
come
ahead.
back to this one. Are you talking about this?
Okay, that one. So now this one, you see her shoes are now on her feet, right?
Yeah.
But you see, if you look around her ankle, you see specks of blood around her ankle. Okay, now let's go back to the video.
Give me 1 minute and I'll pull that video up. Where is
And I
it?
want you, when you pull it up, just pull it in still motion.
Let's see, where is it? Okay, here you go.
Okay, now I want you to pause the video. Pause it right there. Okay, can you do it to where this gentleman arm is out of the scene? Maybe to let it roll a little bit to where we can get his hand out of the video. Okay, stop. Okay, good. Now, even look at where he is standing. You see there's no blood there, right? Okay. The way how first of all, this young lady did not fall to this position. She was placed in this position. I want you to take note of that. And the reason I had you to go to the other photo is because, so one area of my one aspect rather of my investigative component has to do with bloodstain pattern analysis. If this young lady came from wherever to where she is, there would have been the trail of blood connecting. There would have been no skipping. Okay? Now, can you play the video to where it shows the other to show the other side, and I will stop you along the way. So when I say pause or stop, you know to stop the video. Okay, stop. From where the body is right now to the area that you're showing with the blood, you can see that there's no blood. There should be a blood trail from her body to where the blood is right now. You see that? Okay. So this whole thing with tuberculosis, first of all, it's absolute nonsense. Princess Cooper did not die from tuberculosis. And to the contrary, it was not proven scientifically. Now, continue with the video. Okay, stop again. You see the blood trail. You have blood. You have blood stains in sections, but you don't have a connection. Now, given the volume of blood that is being presented here, if a person is losing blood like that, first of all, they will lose consciousness. Because look at where her body is. Okay, so she came from one section of the building. She passed and went by the fence while she was bleeding, and then came back and collapsed to where she is. And first of all, even if she was collapsing, based on the action of gravity, you see where her left arm is under the body. Okay, she would not have collapsed in that manner. The bloodstain pattern on her clothing would have been different. Okay. The reason why, and wait, continue with the video first and foremost. Okay, stop. Everywhere that you see how the blood is, you see the gaps that you got between.
Yeah.
Okay. The blood look as if to say It was being flung. What do I mean by that? Imagine you take a sponge, you put it in liquid, and you just swing and fling it. The way how it would just spread. There's, if you look at the volume of blood that's here, you don't even, you can see that it's not even thick red blood. And even if it was blood, like I said, the volume of blood that she had passed out, because you see now, you are going the video where the body is, you got blood beyond, right? Okay, so play the video again. Okay, stop. If you can go back just a little bit, just go back a tad bit to where the blood was on the wall. A little bit. Okay, now you see the blood on the fence. You see how the blood is? You see the gap between the portion of blood that's on the fence and it comes down to the ground. Then you got that gap. Then you got another good bit of so-called blood. You see that? So it does not make sense forensically that a girl came, she went by the fence, she vomited blood, she went to another part of the yard. So she just walking around, just vomiting blood now. She's not even crying for help. Continue with the video, please. Okay. You see the distance? You see now from her body, you don't have any blood trail connecting. You see? And of course, the volume of blood that you see under her left shoulder, under her leg, that's because now there's blood that was oozing out of her mouth and nostrils. Okay.
So based upon this, this is why you send Elliot on in your writing that you see some similarity of, in terms of errors, you see some similarity in previous cases.
Well, yes. And that's why I think you see the headline from the New Dawn, right? Okay. So I think that you can read and see. Highly nonsensical, because the cases, that's exactly what has been happening. We have been getting nonsensical results. So when Dr. Coley says that people can be in America and
was he
give
making
cause of death,
reference to you?
yes, he was. Yes, because here now we have an issue, and this is going to run as long as there's life and breath in my body. I will continue to critique professionally and present the facts. So this is not our first rodeo, it's not our second. We have clashed even on the radio airwaves. So, this is nothing.
Let me bring you another pictorial. Let's go. Folks, we will open the line here to get your reaction as well. Again, concerning the videos and pictorial we're sharing with you, viewers' description advice concerning those things is just to give you a vivid picture of what is unfolding. I think by this time, the number will increase, but they tell you that we're not fabricating numbers here. These are actual people watching. And if the longer you stay here, I think this will have to be, we have to do part 2, because with the volume of cases that Dr. Rockefeller Cooper have investigated, I couldn't even sit for 30 minutes to go through some of the pictorial and some of the videos to even watch. But I want to take you to another controversial issue. And somebody will say, why are we bringing this up now? Why are you connecting? But if you read the New Dawn, in the New Dawn newspaper, you're making reference to previous issues when you said in part 2 of your writing that this has the propensity for misjudgment. It speaks volume. That was the reason why I asked you that question that night. So are you familiar with this pictorial?
Yes, I am.
And which one of your investigation can one find this pictorial?
So this has to do with the famous discovery of the auditors, namely Albert Peters and Gifty Lama. This is the vehicle in which their mortal remains were discovered on Broad Street.
So what was some of the misjudgment you saw? Forensic
Well, first and foremost,
errors.
yes. So let's just speed up, okay? They are once again.
I'm going to pull another one. Are you familiar with this picture?
Yes, that will be the front of the vehicle that we just saw that was on Broad Street.
Here is another one. Are you also familiar with this?
That is the same. That would be the same vehicle where Albert Peters and Gifty Lama's remains were found.
Here is another one.
Yes, that would now be an examination of the vehicle by the Liberian National Police. And that's where, of course, that's the front part of the vehicle, the driver and the front passenger side.
Let me pull another picture.
Yeah, so same this time. This is documentation from the driver's side of the vehicle.
What did you notice while looking through some of these pictorial? I know we'll come across some graphic pictures here. What are some of the errors from a third eye position, a forensic medical legal death investigator position? What were some of the errors you noticed in terms of the crime scene?
Yeah, let me just give it to you quick.
Mm-hmm.
1, they were murdered. 2, they were placed in a vehicle by criminals who are stupid because they don't even know how to commit crime, even though, no one's in favor of supporting a criminal. But the errors were based on mere stupidity, which basically gave me an insight as to what the possibilities of what may have happened to Albert Peters and Gifty Lama. So, but they were murdered. After a period of time, they were placed in a vehicle. They were transported from a highly sandy area to Broad Street. The person left them in the vehicle and left so that they will be discovered.
And here is another pictorial I want to share with
now,
you.
I want you, before you show the picture, I want you to zoom out of that photograph because there's something that I just took note of. So if you can zoom out, I saw you just zoom in, bring it back up, the same photograph. Okay. Is there any way that you can reduce the photograph? It's almost like it's blown up. Can it be reduced?
Yeah, I'm gonna reduce it. Let's see here.
A little more. Okay, stop right there. Right there. You can see up there's a pair of slippers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want you to take note of that. There's a pair of slippers. Let's proceed.
Let me go further down here and see if I can connect another picture here. Let's see whether you're also familiar with this one.
Okay,
It's in the
so
same
now you have
vehicle.
that's the same vehicle. On the back seat, you have a pair. Well, you have two pairs of shoes. A man easy wear, size 10, and also a pair of female loafers. And the left foot is covered with sand, meaning that at some point in time her feet were dug into a sandy area, some of which is seen on the floor mat as well of the vehicle. Now, I want you to also take note. We're looking at the vehicle. The man's shoe is towards the left back passenger side, and the
Rather
female
than
shoe and the
sitting in the front
well, not even that, but
or
just looking at
behind
the
the
fact.
driver's seat.
Yes, but just looking at the facts, right? It is
Hmm.
more towards the left, and the female shoe is more towards the right.
Okay. And
Okay.
here is another one. Let's look at this one. This time around, I came across one with a key.
Okay. It's with the key. Now, I want you to, that is the key of the vehicle.
Yes, this is where I want to ask you a question. If they were, as quote unquote, in this vehicle and making love, why would the key be on the seat?
Well, the key is not even on the seat. The key is on the floor.
On the floor, rather.
Yes, because it was planted there. Okay. Now, what I want you to take note of again, if you look above the key, now you have a close-up image. You remember we talked about the shoe, right? The female shoe. Okay. And you're also looking at part of Gifty Lama's body. It is her blouse that you see with the black and orange. Okay. And then also to allude, if you listen to if you listen to the press statement that was given by Minister Musa Dean, he talked about where there was this thing with carbon monoxide or some gaseous material from the vehicle, which does not make any sense. Which, I mean, I know he was just regurgitating what he was told because he's not medically or forensically inclined. But overall, it did not make any sense. So somebody dashed the key over there. Okay. So that's that.
And this is from a far view.
Yes. So the scene again, that's no, that one is a little. I guess that will be a little closer. You see the shoe, the
Yeah, it's
female
like the
shoe.
person who took this picture got the camera up a little bit as compared to
Yes,
the
but
first one.
it's the female shoe, and then on the other end of the floor mat is where you got the key. Because when you go back, you will see the key, and then as in the car keys, right? And then you have the shoe also. And we saw part of Gifty's blouse. So it means that she was towards the back, the right back seat, and possibly Albert was, or more than likely Albert was at the front. I'm sorry, at the back left.
Okay, let's see. We'll bring another final one here. And this one also caught my attention. Now, you
Okay.
see both.
You see both pairs of shoes, and
Yeah.
you can see how the sand, as a matter of fact, you can look at her shoe and see that it's wet. You can see that it is wet sand that is on the mat. And you see that the sand is all the way up to the what we can call the nose of the shoe, right? The entire nose and the front covering of the shoe. If you can, are you able to blow that picture up?
Yeah, let me go there and blow it up quick.
Okay, you see that? So definitely, yes. Okay, that should be enough. You see all the sand covering the top of the shoe, and then when you zoom out, I mean when you zoom in again, you see the sand. Go back. No, no, no. Go back. Like you reducing it. Keep on going. Keep on going. Now stop. You can see the wet sand. So definitely, at some point in time, we can know that the person who had on these women's shoes was in contact with sand and water. So yes,
This is deep, and as I continue to look through here, all these different pictorial is deep.
yes.
Okay, let's. Here is another one that caught my attention. What is
Okay.
this? Is that
You have in
gasoline?
the back of the vehicle, yes, that's gasoline. You got 2 5 gallon filled with gasoline, and these containers were closed.
And so, if the heat could kill, then what became of
Well, there's no heat. There's no heat that killed them to begin with.
that? That
There's
was
no
what
heat.
we gathered. That was what was
Yes,
in
that was
circulation.
that was absolute nonsense. I'm giving you the real McCoy here tonight. Remember, you just saw the shoe, and I told you, right? You see the same. Not I even told you, but you saw as I discussed.
Yep.
These container of gasoline were closed. Even if they were open, there's no way. Because you see, I'm trying to play devil's advocate now to help the investigators with their claim of carbon monoxide slash whatever chemical that was involved. Okay? That was not the case. Okay? I know I've been involved with cases that involves chemical related death. So again, without any further ado, let's move on because that was absolute nonsense. Gifty Lama and Albert Peters did not die from anything chemical related. So, so that's just looking at the vehicle and some of the facts. So let's proceed.
Here is something that should that I mean, again, viewer description is advice. Let's look at this because
Okay.
in all of your writings, you're making reference to what transpired then,
Yes.
and it seems like there's a connectivity here or pattern of errors
Yes.
according to what you wrote.
Correct.
So you want to
So
take us
you
through
see where
this?
this is. Yes, this is part of Albert Peters' body, as you can see when he was placed in the vehicle, barefoot or bare feet. Okay, and he's in what appears to be a pair of boxers slash men's underwear.
And this is Abbas Peter
Okay.
again.
Yes, that is his body. As you can see,
Let me
the
go back
right
to the
side
picture.
of the right side of his body
Hmm.
is wet, as you can see with the clothing is wet, and the left side of the shirt you can see is dry.
Okay. Here is another one.
Yeah, the same.
And Dr. Coupon, what is this then?
What is what?
The hand. It's like a bruise.
No, no, no. So that is skin slippage. As the body starts to undergo decomposition, those are early signs that takes place.
And It was also saying on the back.
Yes, the same way. Now, remember, and look at his boxer, you see that it's wet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to keep in mind that Albert Peters had wet clothing. Uh, we were in we are talking about being in a tropical country. You have a female that was in a female that was in a vehicle with him who's also died. Her shoe had a lot of sand, was wet as well. Okay, so with those facts, let's proceed. Okay, because of the position of his body, he has skin slippage around, but there's question about the presentation of his neck area, which I will address later on. So let's proceed. Yeah, you have the body of Gifty as well. Okay. Now you see that there's foam coming from her nose. Okay. There's foam coming from her nose, and I will be addressing this so that we have an insight. Okay. You can see that her blouse is also is stained with blood. Now I want you to realize this: the blood that you see on her clothes, it looks more pinkish than reddish. Okay? Let's proceed.
Okay, let's come here.
Okay. Looking at her clothes, you can see that this lady, she had on her pants. All right. She's basically dressed. And whereas when we saw the partial photo of Albert Peters, he was, well, he was partially dressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in his men's underwear. And that's a picture of Gifty. You see her left hand.
Mm-hmm.
You see her left hand how it is, right?
Yeah.
In like almost like a walking stick or a walking cane position. That because her body underwent rigor mortis. I want you to remember that is her left arm, and you will understand some down the road why her left arm was like that. So let's proceed.
Okay. I think that's all the pictorial on them.
No.
Okay, wait. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, we here. Okay, here is the last one. That's it.
No, you need to go back and check. This cannot be all the photos because there were photos of them in the vehicle that were documented as well. If you're having some technical issues and you want to maybe take a break and check.
Yeah, let me see if I. But let's talk about few of them. Let me see the one. There should be about 15 pictorial I saw from you. It should be about 15 of them. Let's see here. So what I section the remaining ones, take us through some of these things. Why were you connecting the old investigation with this current one?
Because the cases have not been investigated properly. Short and simple.
And so this is the reason why that Dr. Kula seems to be having some issue with you.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, when it comes to, look, I'm the only Liberian, I repeat, I am the only Liberian who is academically and practically trained in forensic death investigation. My scope of operation allows me to draw logical conclusion from the crime scene to the post-mortem table, be it physically or having access to the direct facts.
So where
To
your work stop? Is it to the mortar table?
from the death scene. Like right now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a possible cause of death today on this 16th day of July 2023 as it relates to Albert Peters and Gifty Lama tonight, not tomorrow, today. That's why we're discussing. So get the other photos. Take a break if you need to search your system because I know you're dealing with high-tech equipment over there. So gather it. Let's take a short break and we come back and wrap this thing up so that today people will know
Were there
possible
14 pictures, right? 15 pictures, right?
yes.
Oh yeah, all 15 is here in my system.
Then you
So
notify the ones with it. Yes.
it
'Cause
should be from it should be still at your end.
no, they were all sent to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at 15. I see number 15.
No, they were sent. Did you check your email?
Yeah. And you label there and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15
Yeah.
photos.
You have them. So and you have not shown 15 photos here tonight.
Let me see who's here. We saw this one. Let me pull some out here quickly.
Let's take a 2 minutes break.
Yeah, let me see if I can take a short break and then walk you through. Let me bring this on here.
The request came that some family members need to be at the site to see how the autopsy will be conducted. I was choosing to be one of those. And so we went to St. Moses. Many family members were there, journalists, human rights group, and among others. The first thing, the pathology called us to meeting and did a briefing before we enter the room. We firstly view the body. Every one of us that went there, the journalists and all the other entities that were there, we view the body and before the autopsy were conducted. But it was only the upper part of the body that we viewed. The down part was covered, and the counselor, Musu Scott, asked the pathologist, to remove the thing that was covering the girl down part so we could see her and turn her over. And he said no, it was not he's not want to do that because he never wanted people to see her nakedness, because she was a woman. So he did not move the cloth from, over her. And he refused to turn her over to see. All right. After the family view, the family left, and those that were selected to be on the autopsy test, and we left there with other entities. And so we did a physical, examination. Saw a lot of bruises on her body, from hand, chest, on her breast, and all that. And so later, and all of these bruises that were on her were mentioned by the pathology. We saw her and bone object. You put it in to see the depth of the bruise, and those bruises they look rounded, rounded spots. You could see almost something round. So after that, after viewing the upper part, he came down to her private part, which is the vagina. He checked it in to see whether there were any sexual, assault that went on. He said no, nothing temple. She was not tempered with, and later turn her over. We saw the back and all that. Some of the bruises were on her back also. Why was in that? One of the family members, the girl, because some of us were not at the house when the thing took place, went at the feet part and saw that the back of the head, her hair cloud was root out. So she alarmed, said, look, man, I see something, the girl hair is root up. And we all, saw that spot. Because all those marks that were on her when she was alive, the bruises that were on her, you could see them red. But after death, at certain time things that went on, they were all white. So when we saw the mark of that hair was very white. So that is, like she died after certain time before that hair was root, so that spot was white. Because all the other marks when she was alive, when blood was in her, you could see them red, red bruises. And so after that, we turned her over and all that, then he started his Saturday work. He did what he's supposed to do, open her, took all the skin from here, After taking the skin, he used that same object and start measuring the bruises, on her body that were in the skin. So one of those bruises was on her arm that penetrated the skin, touched the ribs, and penetrated the ribs, and touched her leg long. So in the skin, there was thick black blood. And in the rib, after he took out the whole cap of the rib, in the rib, there was the same thick black blood that was there. And it touched her lungs, her left lungs. But for the right lungs, there was no problem. And from the chest down to come, there was nothing, there that could harm someone. And from there, everybody, if you learn any pathology, you will know that all her death, that that killed her, it came from the chest, from here. And more especially the wound that was on the left side, that penetrated the rib and touched the left lungs. And so far, these are some of the things that I was there. We were many. Some of my colleagues are here. They will say yes, what they saw. But for me, mainly that what I saw that was so, permanent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is Michael Easton, the audience brother for this child in question. This is just lying down in the mortuary, died in cold blood. I'm grieving. I don't have much to say. But I will firstly appreciate the government because they're doing extremely well to see how best my sister death can be known. What happened? That they are right. I'm not disputing the fight. Yes, it is true that government are doing aware, but as a family, before I get to the pathology issue, we really appeal to government to help us to see how best we can bury our sister. I will press in, I will take it down note. Even that very day, the pathologist told me at top, I will take it down note. He told me, say, that your note you taking over there, when you finish taking your note there, my own, I will compare it with your own. If my own not correct, he said that. But all those things, they are not things to follow because we only after to bury our daughter, our sister. The opening of Charloe, the wounds of Charloe, everything was mentioned. Some measured 6 centimeters deep, 2 centimeters wide. The instrument that they use, that the perpetrator used, all the bruises were measured. And the first speakers spoke loud and clear that the left hand side, which is under her breast, internally bleeding, like it came her sister. why it's true that she is dead. Government want to know. But my tears to government and every public, whosoever are listening to me, every one of you that are out there, this is not only Musu family alone. By the grace of God, we all will try our possible best to see how else we can calm ourselves down and see how else we can bury that girl and everything will be over. But let's not remember that every one of us has children in this country. It is going to every one of us, if you are looking at me. Now remember, if it is not you, tomorrow it may be you. Let us see reason to see how we can bury that little innocent child that died in our cold blood. If any other thing needs to be done, we can do it. I just say take place. Government, what the government want to do, get them the chiefs, they do it. I don't have much to say how the bush of how they do this. Those things are already done. They're gone. By appealing. The more she lies in the mortuary, the more pains it costs us as a family. Please, I am pleading to government as an odious son of my brothers and sisters that let government see reason to allow us to bury our sister. Any other family they want to do, it's up to them. We all will follow the process. But let the body just go to arrest. That is my plea. I'm begging. You help me out there, speak to government. Representatives, senators, all the representatives and senators from Maryland County, we are asking you people to help us into this process. Since the letter has already been delivered, we want you people to act on our letter, on our voices, to cry to government so that we can bury our daughter, our sister. I plead. Thank you so much.
What you saw, what you heard.
Yeah, anyway, I'm Dwele Musu, auntie to the late Charloe Musu. As my brother said from the initial state, we went in for the autopsy. And then, in the first place, when we entered, the entire family went to view the body.
The family visited the mortuary and they were told that the government of Liberia had instructed that nobody tamper with the body, no one should be made to see the body, but nobody should be made to see the body, nobody should be tampered, nobody should touch the body. According to the mortuary head, Simose, that was the instruction from the Ministry of Justice. The government of Liberia, the family have been requesting for the coroner report of February 27. The family have been requesting for the publication. Because the publication set the basis for scientific investigation. The coroner report set the basis. Up to today's date, the family have not gotten said report. The government of Liberia set the day for the autopsy. The autopsies were conducted, even though the family did not get the report of the coroner inquest. But the very day after being told that in 2 weeks' time, the family will receive the report. The very day, preliminary of the report of the autopsy report surfaced. The question that continues to linger on the minds of a lot of family members is why up to now we have not been able to see the publication of the coroner report or the coroner inquest. Today we are breaking the Ministry of Justice, asking them, because the Ministry of Justice said in 2 weeks' time, they will publish the final report. Today it's 16 days. The family are written an official communication requesting the turning over of the body such that our daughter will receive a dignified burial. We're pleased to inform you that our brothers and sisters you see here are some of those who were present when the autopsies were being conducted. So I'm now pleased to now turn over to them for comment.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, my name is J. Warren Elliott Sr., the uncle of the deceased. Lucy Elliott Musu, who is the mother of Charloe Musu, is my sister. I've been hearing about autopsy test. The request came that some family members need to be at the site to see how the autopsy will be conducted. I was choosing to be one of those. And so we went to St. Moses. Many family members were there, journalists, human rights group, and among others. The first thing, the pathology called us to meeting and did a briefing before we enter the room. We firstly viewed the body. Every one of us that went there, the journalists and all the other entities that were there, we viewed the body and before the autopsy was conducted. But it was only the upper part of the body that we viewed. The down part was covered, and the counselor, Musu's cat, asked the pathologist, to remove the thing that was covering the girl down part so we could see her and turn her over. And he said no, it was not he's not want to do that because he never wanted people to see her nakedness, because she was a woman. So he did not move the cloth from, over her. And he refused to turn her over to see. All right. After the family viewed, the family left, and those that were selected to be on the autopsy test, and we left there with other entities. And so we did a physical, examination. Saw a lot of bruises on her body, from hand, chest, on her breast, and all that. And so later, and all of these bruises that were on her were mentioned by the pathology. We saw kind of bone object. You put it in to see the depth of the bruise, and those bruises they look rounded, rounded spots. You could see almost like something round. So after that, after viewing the upper part, he came down to her private part, which is the vagina. He checked it in to see whether there were any sexual, assault that went on. He said no, nothing temple. She will not temper with, and later turn her over. We saw the back and all that. Some of the bruises were on her back also. Why was in that? One of the family members, the girl, because some of us were not at the house when the thing took place, went at the feet part and saw that the back of the head, her hair cloud was root up.
As we rewarding, we gathered the needed evidence that will eventually lead to the establishment of the actual scientific cause of death of 24-year-old Miss Charloe.
So what's the surety can you give the public that in terms of looking at the time frame, how soon and how reliable this result will be?
For reliability, our record will speak to it. And I said it before we started this autopsy. We are on record because I mean people give cause of death even before autopsies are done. People say in the United States someone dies here and they are able to say exactly what killed them. That must be magic, you know. It doesn't happen anywhere else. But what we did is scientific, and our record speaks for itself. We will the turnaround time is usually 2 weeks plus or minus. We'll do our best to work within that time frame.
During the process, how many people were represented when you were carrying on the examination?
It's maybe close to 20 persons, including two or three persons from the family. The human rights group was present, law enforcement people, the press. You guys, you didn't go in, but you sat here quietly and you talked to us before and after. Yeah, but we may have had close to 20 persons in there.
What feedback did you get from the family and those who were represented?
They took notes. Basically, they took notes. They took their own notes, and I think they left from here, very satisfied with the process because it was transparent. All the lesions that we saw, the measurements, the way the depth, the angulation, they were all read aloud. The family were taking note, and I think the process was transparent.
Thank you. Any other thing we need to know?
Well, the other thing that you need to know, which I have not done before, I'm going to do today, is that since the idea of autopsy is taking root in Liberia, I'm taking the courage to give a provisional cause of death. A provisional cause of death. Please take note of that. Provisional cause of death. All right? Meaning, when everything else is synthesized, it could or could not be. But, by the evidence we got, a provisional cause of death will be exsanguation, excessive loss of blood, from a rupture intercostal right or left intercostal artery, all right, with massive hemothorax, massive left hemothorax.
Thank you. Very actual nice. I'm speaking to you, but we'd like for you to break it down up to the local because people are going to listen to it.
Okay, folks, welcome back. We sincerely apologize. We have to make some quick technical adjustment here, but it's good we're back, and Dr. Cooper is still here with us. That just not to waste a lot of time, I want us to go to these live pictorial. I want you to give us a clear understanding of this picture, because from your investigation, you talk about these pictures as well.
Yes. So you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to take a good look at Gifty. As we saw when her body was on the gurney or the stretcher, you saw there was foam from her nose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now look here again. You see foam in the vehicle. You see foam from her nose as well, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now look at
and
her.
I see similar thing in Abba's nose as well.
That is correct. So now I want you to look at her left hand, with the one with her wedding band. You see how her hand is, right? In that same walking stick, like the walking king.
Yeah.
Okay. So her body was fixed. She was in rigor mortis when she was placed in the vehicle. Okay. Now I want us to tag on to some points here. We had a wet sandy shoe. We saw wet clothing. Okay. And we have foam from the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's proceed with the other photos so that the body will be noted. Okay. You see how she is, right?
Yeah.
She's fully clothed. You see the foam again. And you see how Albert is. So what happened here is that Gifty was placed into the vehicle first, and her body was slumped. And then Albert was placed in the same way. As we say in local parlance, he was shoved into the car also. Okay, you see how his right hand is outstretched? Okay.
here's another one. I think this we can stop to now.
Okay, so you see the scene.
Yeah.
Now, given all of the facts, you see we have wet clothing. We also have early sign of decomposition. As in, you remember when you thought that it was bruising on his arm, and we saw like the same thing on the back, and I told you that was skin slippage
Yeah.
from early deep. Okay, so there is a very high possibility that these people were murdered on a beach where they were, they were submerged into water by the head and partially of the body, and they died of drowning. After which, and to make it clandestine, it was not done like the Harry Greaves situation. Okay. Instead, they were, like I said, partially submerged, and based on the inhalation, the water was taken in and it died. By the way, just so if any arguments come out tomorrow, when I first received um, these materials, I did share them with the forensic community. And everybody, in fact, my colleagues decided to laugh. I even wasted time to bring it to their attention and talking about them being dead. We reviewed it and we all knew exactly what had happened. So Albert Peters and Gifted Lama did not die from any exhaust that had a hole on it where gas seeped into the vehicle. And the only thing that relates to gas, which was the liquid gasoline, was enclosed in 2 5-gallon containers. So, emphatically, indeed, let people be aware that the deaths that have been going in the country, when some of us are writing against it, we're not looking for anything special. For me, I'm self-employed, so I'm not an employee. Okay, I send myself to school, so I cannot be compromised. To in terms of loyalty, where you say country send you to school, so you got to do this to patch up. No, the facts, will continue to review the facts. Okay, our people on the ground will continue to work, and we'll put the pieces together, and the truth will be told in all of these cases. Now, at some point in time, we'll be discussing Matthew Innes and some other cases. And then, but we will take a look at Joyce Jewett. Joyce Jewett was the lady who from Minnesota. She came to Liberia to visit, and she was murdered in her residence. So that revelation is also mind-blowing. May God save the sick.
Let me ask you this question quickly. In your second paper, when you were looking at the first series of cases, most especially the Princess Copper, the Gifty Laman, the late Albert Peter case, was there anything between you and that of the government that led to the counter claim with Dr. Cooley?
Well, there was nothing between the government and I. So you have to realize that one, I'm a Liberian citizen. Number two, I owe no obligations to the government of Liberia because they do not write my paycheck. And of course, when the field of forensic is one that I cherish so dearly. And so if somebody wants to play in that arena, you better know what you're coming with, because I'm a force to reckon with. And, I don't mince my words. I tell it as it is. So this is all about Liberia, putting Liberia first. Okay, and that's just the way I operate.
But some of the propagandists of the government were saying that Dr. Cooper investigation filled with fallacy, and some of the guys I listened to on the radio said there was nothing to substantiate claim. As a matter of fact, one thing that killed this case was the the statement by the president of the Republic of Liberia that the both Gifty and that of Abba were making love in the vehicle. And he said it in the church. That killed the entire investigation.
Okay, let me ask you this. An equivalent to that statement would be when President Weah was a footballer on the Lone Star national team. They did not qualify for the World Cup because the players were not trained enough. That is a blanket statement. You had the world best, along with a team or a collection of men that Liberia probably would never see for years to come. The moral to the story is this: the president is not forensically trained. Okay, as a Liberian citizen, it is his right to express his opinion. But is there any fact to it? I just showed you, and everybody that's watching and will watch, the hardcore facts. You see, the lady was fully dressed. You saw that their clothing were wet. You saw that there were early signs of decomposition. Okay? You also saw the froth. When people are drowning, you have froth coming from, from the nose. As the book can say, foam coming from the nose. I also pointed out the pinkish color blood as opposed to the, reddish color as we expect. That was based on the pathophysiology, meaning mechanisms within the body as salt water was taken in. Okay, you see, we have types of drowning. I don't want to go too deep, but you got salt water drowning and you got fresh water drowning. So there's a difference when you drown in the ocean versus when you drown in the river. Okay, so you also saw the wet shoe with wet sand. You saw how the shoe was covered with sand, with wet sand, right? Okay, so that means that this person was face down. If you're laying on your back, the toes of your shoes will be pointed up if you're on the beach, right? That's common sense. But if you face down, then of course you will have that scenario, and you just saw it. I give it to you live. Have you had a detailed breakdown of this situation before, since the death of these auditors?
I mean, this is where I'm so speechless, because I mean, with all of the pictorial evidences given to me, and the different write-up from you, like I said, it was like an entire forensic, maybe an associate program I was sitting in for 1 hour 30 minutes talking to you, and 1 hour 30 minutes was not enough. You said, Mr. Cummings, we can discuss this case for almost 4 hours. And looking at the time, we gone almost approximately 3 hours, 2 hours plus, looking at just pictorial, not video alone, but looking at all the pictures and stuff, and you talking about the different positions of the body. These are things people don't talk about easily.
Right. So
let me ask you this question: were you working when you went to do some of these inquiry and investigation? Were you working for any of the political party leader or presidential candidate, or it was just the TER institution, your institution, they contacted to do a particular investigation? How you got into the entire picture? Take us through it a little bit.
Well, so all of these investigations have been self-funded. I've carried them on my own will. For example, Charloe Musu, that one was mind-blowing, because I decided that what happened in Princess Cooper Princess Cooper case will never ever happen with regards to the death of any other woman in the Republic of Liberia as long as I'm alive. So I have put mechanisms in place to ensure that once there's a murder case, a questionable death, you can rest assured that there will be light at the end of the tunnel for that case. And I operate discreetly, covert, with operations is something that I'm very good at. Is of course part of my training. And you see, one of the things that people get confused of, and I know you're asking is, but you're here. How do you manage to put these facts together?
Yeah, you were
Okay.
not on the ground with the Charloe Musu case. I
Yeah.
went through some of the pictorial. It took me hours to get you and myself to sit down to go through them. And when I started reading your writing, the first article, the second publication, I was asking you questions. How in the world that you are here? What were you seeing then? Who were you working with to get all of these bits and pieces as compared to, that statement that just came out? Oh, this happened, but there was no pictorial evidences there to walk us through.
Yes. So here's the thing.
So as a result of that, people were speculating then, and people are still
Yes, people.
speculating now.
Yeah, people will continue to speculate. Okay. I'm not Jesus Christ, but I would say, blessed are those who believe without seeing. Okay, but more blessings to those who have seen the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now here's the thing. I must say this: my level of training. I've trained with people at the federal level from the different bureaus of investigation, so I think you know exactly where I'm going. Okay, I train with people from foreign intelligence. Okay, so and these are people that also taught me in class. So my studies is not no side by side or overnight thing. We're talking about academic. Okay, these cases, one of the reasons why I will continue to prevail in revealing the facts in these cases is because one, you don't have a death investigation system in place. Now, let me go. In fact, you don't even have a forensic system because my scope of operation is not limited to just death investigation. I'm a forensic scientist in addition to being, a medical doctor. Okay. And then I also have graduate degrees and trainings in medical science. And so I'm able to connect the dots. Okay. And as we say, I pay plenty of money behind my school business. So, so I have equity in this, years of experience as well. So based on the errors, I listen to people talking. Let me see another case that have been rocking the country for a few years and people moving circle. 3 missing boys. That one, I was able to wrap my finger around it and show you some of the games and tricks that were being played. Okay. So I do these things on my own. In terms of working, I did in all things considered, semi pro bono work for a human rights agency. I served as a rebuttal witness for them during the Joe Collet murder trial in last year. A Guinean national that died in police custody in Nimba. So I had served as a rebuttal witness based on the reports that were put forth by the pathologists.
And I read something somewhere where you were also invited into in our neighbor's country, Sierra Leone, to do some work.
Well, no, it was actually so basically I had the government of Sierra Leone had invited me for clarity because when 2019, when I was going to Liberia for the Odell Sherman death case, there was a young lady, Yata Kamara. Her family heard I was coming to Liberia and insisted I'd be the only one to touch their daughter's body. But anyway, the whole thing got political and I ended up observing the procedure. And so they wanted to hear from me my honest opinion. And of course, I was not going to cover up. I told them exactly what I observed, what they would expect, what not to expect, because they won't be able to. They won't be able to get it. And so, and that was that. Sadly, it was the very same reason why President Marabio boycotted the July 26 celebration held at the SKD Sports Stadium.
Dr. Kopo, do you believe that one of the individuals involved or those who were arrested and charged for murder and criminal conspiracy seems to be hiding something? that something indeed occurred in there, and they're trying to shield it, or they said that the government itself is using this for another political shuri, or what?
Yeah, again, that's a question that I will be willing to answer. Not that I cannot answer it, but I'll be willing to answer only in a competent court of law. And
But you have opened already a can of worm here with
yes, I opened. Yeah,
pictorial evidences, videos as well.
Of course, I've opened a can of worms, and there are more can of worms that I can open, cans upon cans, and continuous of. But again, I'm doing it just because I'm a Liberian. I'm
Your
just
good friend
helping other
Dr. Kule may be waiting
Liberians.
for you to challenge you in some of these issues.
And if I'm called to testify, history will repeat itself. I did it last year, July 1st. I'm willing to do it again.
Have you
But
worked
I'm
with a
not.
group of Liberians some time back to go to Liberia to conduct investigation?
Unfortunately, I did.
What became of it?
Well, it ended up where I was being accused of being in bed with the government, taking money from the government. I was being accused of receiving tens of thousands of dollars. And in fact, just about last month or so, I did a publication for funds. I was received $4,160.32. Me. I was expected to use to buy a plane ticket and go to Liberia
Let's
and
go
do.
to the line. I have a caller here. Hello.
Sure.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much. My name is Sam Gadu.
Sam, you got to
you
walk away from your monitor in the back end.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me close that up. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we're hearing you, Dr. Cooper. And she's here.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Dr. Cooper, you too. And Rama, I highly appreciate the show tonight. I've been following you guys very, very well. This is what we need. These are the kind of expertise that the country needs. And very briefly, it's sad and very pathetic that our leaders cannot see people like this and use their services. At least when these kind of deaths takes place in the country, the closure, to have that final closure as he's doing. This man is one of a kind in our country of Liberia. It's very, very sad to see, to follow these pictures, the videos, and it does make sense, common sense, just from his description. I'm not a scientist or forensic, but just from his analysis, it makes sense how those auditors die. You can see it. But my question to him tonight is, after the aspect of the auditors coming to what's the other lady that died in a house where there's blood splatter all over the place?
Princess.
It's not Charloe. The other Cooper?
Princess.
Yeah,
No, not
Princess
Cooper.
Cooper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can he tell us what was the cause of death when
Okay,
it comes to her? Because we see how she was from the pictorial, how she was lay down flat and blood splattered from the fans, in spaces all over the place. Can he tell us from his experience, from his conclusion, what was the cause of death? And I highly appreciate you, brother. You're doing the right thing. I really appreciate you. And I thank you very much, Rama, for the network, for bringing him on tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So let me answer his question. Well, given the circumstances, it is hard to say exactly what happened to her. But based on the blood disbursement, that's why we look at the video, okay, and then we look at the still photos. This lady was transported in a descending manner, meaning she was brought from an upstairs to a downstairs. and she was being transported in a jackknife position. What do I mean by that? Almost like you're clamping. So the jackknife is the knife that you can buy that you can basically close. Okay. So as she was being transported, and that's why the blood, you see the blood skipped certain part of her clothing and got down to the towards the leg of her pants. But the case was not investigated properly, and definitely tuberculosis was not the issue. If tuberculosis was the case, then by now I think the CDC and the WHO would have had a crisis on their hand, because there would have been a lot of carriers and transmission would have been at an all-time high. So we can disrupt that. I mean, just discard that. I'm sorry. So, but unfortunately, I cannot give you the actual cause of death based on the limitations that were surrounding the case as well.
Okay. Let me see if we no, there was something we were talking about here, and I asked you this question as to whether somebody was hiding something, or there seems to be some issue here with information dissemination, either between the
Yes.
government and that of the former chief justice.
Yeah. So you see, when you're doing an investigation, it is incumbent upon the investigator to extract the facts. You see, you got to shake the bag so the golden nugget will drop. But you're charging four individuals with murder. We heard Prince Mulva, Deputy Inspector General. They are being charged with murder. I think what, giving false information and something else. Are you charging all of them with all three charges each? That was not made clear. I think maybe at some point in time they would, but there are certain certain aspects I will not touch on, and that is just because it could lead to other issues.
Hmm.
So yes, I won't be addressing some of those.
I asked you this question earlier on that you opened a can of worms, and
Yeah, so I open a can of worms so that people now can go, let them go in. It's like now you've been looking for fruits. I've given you the fruit basket. You go in. If you want banana, you take banana. You want orange, you take orange. I'm not gonna go in there and to start
was
cutting
there
and peeling for you.
any time a time when the government called upon you, or you offered your services to them to provide training for our people, and they turned it down?
I made that attempt in the past, but again, the governments have the right. You see, sometimes people like to test the system. You know, uh, that opportunity
Is there a
was
litmus
was
test for
made.
them? Are you testing the system?
Well, I don't have to test the system because the system is subpar when it comes to my expertise. So there's no room for competition. But based on your question, right? I guess because you're trying to figure out that why is it, I guess in reverse, you're trying to ask like, why is it that I have not rendered my services? And so what I'm saying that I made such a proposal in the past, but basically, it was turned down. So all I do is to point out the flaws because I want to see a better Liberia. And given my unique expertise, I don't think it's fair for me to sit by. I help Americans here, but then I see that in Liberia, where the blind is leading the blind, and then I do absolutely nothing. So
Dr. Copeland, I don't know how to describe this. What's your relationship like with the media on the ground? Because with what we have covered tonight and aired tonight, have you had that cordial working relationship with the media to be able to display some of your work and talk about some of these cases lengthily? And if yes, what has been the feedback?
oh well, no, I haven't had any stint with the media per se. A few cases here and there I've addressed on the Costa show, going back from Harry Greaves' death and beyond. But as far as having a relationship,
And now
look,
you
here's the
on
thing.
this platform. Just to let you know, He was my good friend and a mentor to me.
Okay.
In my mind, I didn't see any closure to that case. What was your own finding? What was your own observation?
Well, you see, so there's a problem with the investigation system in Liberia. Liberia tends to have interest only in cause of death. So because of that, it was stated that Mr. Greaves drowned. But what were the circumstances that led to his drowning? So, and I gave you an example. If we on a boat ride and you slip and you fell overboard and you cannot swim and you drown, that is an accidental death. But if I went and pushed you, okay, then now we're looking at being homicidal, okay? And like I shared with someone on a platform the other day, if you stood on the Gabriel Tucker Bridge, climb on the ledge and then jump over, you tell everybody that you're tired living. You don't like how Liberia going. You're suffering. And
That's
you jump over and
suicidal.
you drown. That's suicide. So you see, the same drowning death are giving you different aspects. You see? But these cases are not being investigated properly in Liberia. And let me tell you, all of these cases, these are things that we can just conclude like that. But I mean, they would drag it, they would dance around, swing it, twist it, turn it. At the end of the day, you get something that is not favorable. And favorable being based on the facts, not just favorable to tell people what they want to hear, but based on the facts.
So what do you observe? You haven't told me yet. I know you saw
I just
something.
hope investigations are not being done properly.
You think the people was they kept us in the state of utopia here, with the issue of Harry Green, the other guy who they said he got drowned, the Anderson, and all these different killings. I mean, alleged ritualistic killings that are taking place in our country, and with all the kind of knowledge you have, why is it that people are running from you?
But, well, let me approach it Socratically. So Socrates used, questions to answer questions. I just laid a premises. Given the fact that I'm self-employed, the government of Liberia did not send me to school. I don't have any obligation to them. Why do you think that they may be afraid or uncomfortable to work with me? You tell me.
It's a based on the
And
price.
not based on the price.
What?
For one, and this is from even the last regime up to now, I cannot be compromised. You see, what they don't understand is when you say what happened to a person, you are not saying who did what to that person. In-depth investigation, of course, my scope can I go beyond because I know how to I can interrogate, I can, I know how to shake the bag and make the nugget drop. Okay. But keeping it just with the aspect of depth investigation, you're saying what happened so that the case will come to a logical conclusion. You see? So I'm not gonna be compromised. I'm going to state the facts.
So
Okay.
you
And
rather it's like I rather run a private investigation firm than to work in a system that I'm going to rock the boat.
But as a matter of fact, I don't intend to work for any government. I plan to work in the private sector. In that way, the people will have an alternative. You see, they will have an alternative. For example, a local pharmacy too expensive, then you got Uncle pharmacy around the corner. You can still go and get the same paracetamol, even though it may be mixed with cassava dust. But hey, you just work it through.
Well,
But
folks,
that's what
the
I want
telephone
to do.
line is open. If you can just give us a call, we got a few more minutes. Dr. Cooper will be here again. Dr. Rockefeller Cooper will be here again. He said, JEROY, whenever you are ready, I'm going to send you Pictorial and I'm going to send you a lot and we'll discuss these things. This is something, Dr. Cooper, let me say this. I must give you your flowers because even when I was on the radio in Liberia, we don't have this kind of conversation this way. It's hard for you to find the professionals, even doctors and lawyers, to come to discuss issues. They just tell you that, look, I'm going to do a 5-minute interview with you. 5 minutes too short for the listening audience. This is the reason why most of our people back home are now lawyers. Everybody know an article of the Constitution, but do you understand the legal ramification of what you are quoting? So if we have nurses and doctors who shied away from the radio, not only did you give me the homework to do, you gave me 2 hours plus of sitting lecture as you were taking me through pictorial and all of your different writings, and I had to go to your website. You think how I got to know the story of your mom is by going to your website. So it tells me that, man, I not that you're trying to be biased to only promote work on investigative cases as it relates to female, but I want to believe that it's done at an equilibrium, because the case of Gifty Laman and other people you name, and Abba Peter, and the other case that you talk about, and you said we have to bring photographer or videographer from Hollywood to kind of explain the situation with Yinswa. I wait to do I can't wait to do part 2 with you, because I want to know what were you alluding to when you said we got to go to Hollywood to bring photographer or somebody to come and tell us. Do you think that, even peace be to the ashes of the brother, but do you think that it was just something staged, that somebody will now fall from that place and just die instantly like that?
Well, I'll tell you this. The
Don't
forensic
go in
evidence,
depth. I want us to do part 2, because
Yeah,
I want to
now I'm just telling you, the forensic evidence shows that Ninswa was not a Spider-Man or a ninja who jumped. So we'll leave it at that until that time comes.
Man, my good friend and brother, this is not about the opposition political party. This is not about the ruling establishment. I believe the one person who called because he's been listening and following the pictorial and listening to the Discord. I want to say thank you, Dr. Cooper. But how can one get in touch with you? Now, if I do that part for you, you have to pay.
What do you mean? How can one get in touch with me? Get in touch with me.
Do you have a website? How do we get in touch with your office?
Oh,
do
yes.
You have a secretariat that we need to go to? I don't need to go to a secretariat. I bulldozed the Poloco already.
I know that. I'll observe that. But, so thirdeyeforensics.com, www.3RODEYEFORENSICS.com, thirdeyeforensics.com.
Do you have an office in Liberia?
No, sir, I do not.
But because you got a lot of pictures, so I would love to know that office and know the investigators on the ground.
Well, we operate in plain sight. You see us, but you don't know us. You laugh with us, we shake your hand, we eat with you, we drink with you, but you don't know who we are.
My good friend and brother, what will be your own message to the Liberian people, including friends of Liberia who are listening? And I'll promise you this. I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I'm recording this, so I'm going to make a video out of this, and we'll show it even in the day. Somebody watching this broadcast would say, Pastor Cummings was to be here preaching tonight to us. But the thing people don't understand is this. Why it is true that I have to preach to you, when you go back to even the days of the apostles, most of them were philosophers. In their preaching, in their teachings, they talk about justice. They talk about equality. Right. So there's no way you can say that we keep preaching to our people that don't talk about justice. When in fact the Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter 29, by justice the king gives stability, but the ones who are greedy for bribe tears it down. It's good that you say, and you know what caught my attention? I didn't know you were a
What?
preacher as well.
Look at him.
Because you started saying some things. I said, okay, all right, okay. Even though I'm looking through the document, but the man is preaching to me because 99% of the things he was talking about, you were talking about faith, and you were talking about justice, and you were talking about people falling.
Well,
But what
with
would
God, all
be
things
your
are
own
possible.
message to our viewers and listeners tonight, just before we take leave of you?
Well, at this point in time, I mean, we're seeing these cases basically the same old wine, different bottle. We can only pray for a better Liberia and that we'll have the right professionals in place to help the country, regain its status. I mean, we're talking about Liberia. We can't be, I mean, look at neighboring Sierra Leone, but I mean, it's a pathetic situation. We can just pray and just wish for the best. I'm mentally fatigued when it comes to the issues, with Liberia. But I just do this because one, I have a passion, and to somehow curtail the mindset of my fellow Liberians because they just go with the wind. Well, that's what they say. You let leave it with God. So that's where we are.
Dr. Copeland, thank you so much. My guest, folks, tonight has been Dr. Rockefeller Copeland, a forensic medical legal death investigator. Thank you so much. And we look forward to you coming to preach.
We'll discuss that. All right, brother. Thank you.
Oh, we need to grab the 9-year-old secretary, right? And
No,
start
no, no,
discussing
no, no.
fees. Your
No,
honorarium.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
brother.
much,
Yes,
my
stay
brother.
blessed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Folks, we want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing the broadcast with your friends and family. Dr. Rockefeller Cooper will be here again with another interesting discussion. And we look forward to seeing all of you, because tonight is like, because I'm not talking about what is unfolding in the CPP or the MPP or the CDC. People shy away, but you miss something. And if you miss this, please don't miss part 2 with Dr. Rockefeller Cooper and Brother JEROY Cummings. Until we talk to you, let me leave you with the current Justice Minister, Musa Dame.
He is said to have consumed drinks containing alcohol and later left for home. He reportedly arrived at his 72nd Pinsville residence at approximately 11 p.m. and proceeded upstairs to his bedroom. Later during the night, his security guard found him lying downstairs unconscious with blood flowing from his left ear. The escape door from his room upstairs was found open. The distance from the escape door elevation to the ground measures 13.1 feet. The deceased was rushed to the John F. Kennedy Medical Emergency and seen at 2:45 p.m. on October 10, 2020, where he was diagnosed with severe head injuries. According to medical records from the John F. Kennedy Medical Center, he started gasping for air at 3:40 a.m. and following 20 minutes of unsuccessful attempts to resuscitate him, he ceased breathing and was declared clinically dead at 4:00 a.m. on October 10, 2020. A Again, consistent with Volume 1, Title 2, Chapter 7 of our Criminal Procedure Law, the coroner of Montserrat County, having declared the death suspicious, the Ministry of Justice ordered that post-mortem examination, autopsy be performed on the remains. Relevant autopsy findings: massive injuries to the head, chest, and abdomen. No metallic density foreign body found. Cause of death: massive hemorrhage, multiple wounded and soft tissue injuries, and blunt injuries consistent with fall from height. Conclusion by the pathologist, quote, "In our professional and expert opinion, the manner of death is unnatural. Further classification of this unnatural death as accidental, homicidal, or suicidal will require further police detective investigations."